When you care more about what someone thinks about you than what you think about yourself, you're unconsciously surrendering all of your energy to them, and you're giving them power, control, and dominance over you, your life, your reality, and everything that concerns you. Every aspect of your being you've now surrendered to an external source. Now they can do whatever they want. And that's exactly what you have here in this system. People that are so preoccupied and so transfixed on people pleasing that they don't even put any energy to themselves. You should never be concerned with what anybody thinks about you because they can't even think for themselves. They're hooked to a hive mind collective that does all their thinking for them because, after all, do they not refer to your cell phone as a smartphone? That's that way for a reason. So the collective that you're connected to is controlling you, but it's packaged and presented to you in such a way that it appears as if you're in control of your own actions, your own thoughts, your own behaviors, and so on, when it actually isn't the truth. Everything that they present to you is an illusion packaged as a reality. And all of the information that you're receiving is blatant prevarication that is being presented to you as the truth. So when you operate from a space of illusions and lies, that's exactly what you'll manifest. But you're thinking all the time that what I'm doing is real because this is what they told me is the truth. This is an illusion. This is reality. This is the sun. This is the earth. This is life. That's this. And that's exactly what you go by. That is when you refer to your past identity, because what you are in this moment is a culmination of all of your experiences in your life that you've accumulated, whatever those experiences were. Whether you went to college, conversations with people, growing up as a child, all of that coalesced into one singular moment, which is the here and the now, the present, the current. You can't exceed that unless you learn something new. So when you refer to something as your source of knowledge and information, if you're questioning things, and that source that you're referring to is inherently disingenuous in nature, and it's just filled with blatant prevarication, that's exactly what you have, because they know that human beings are social creatures. And you're going to be so overly concerned with what people think about you that you'll actually sacrifice your own individuality to do that because you have self-conscious inhibitions, the fear of being ridiculed by others, inferiority complexes, and the list is endless. They just basically devolve your level of energy until you become a vibrational equivalent to the field of energy that they can control, and that is this system. So you have to take back your power. Absolutely. None of this works unless you are in charge of yourself. You have to take control of every aspect that you surrendered unconsciously. When you're born into this world, I've said it before, you're unconsciously indoctrinated into their illusionary universe. Because as a child, what reference do you have to refer to as any type of knowledge to counter what they're telling you? You won't. So as you get older, that's when you accrue these things and you gain these things and you procure them. The more experiences you have, the more knowledge you gain. And that database is wider and more vast and more intense, like a library that you keep adding books to. The more books, the more intelligence, the more knowledge, the more wisdom, the more awareness, and it just keeps accumulating. But there's a reason why they do what they do to the young, because that's how you get them at an early stage of development, because your childhood is the foundation upon which the remainder of your natural life is built upon. So anything happens in your pre-adolescent stage of development, those leave indelible impressions on you that you carry forever. So if you're told by teachers and faculty and law enforcement and the television, people on the news, that this is how reality is, and you're a child and you have no way to contrast that or to refute it or debate it, then it becomes your truth. And then it becomes the only life you know. So the most important thing is You have to work at this because you've been so thoroughly immersed in this experience of a three-dimensional mentality that all you know is this. That's the only life there is. But you have to come to terms with yourself to say that I have to break out of this, because unless you regain your power as an individual, none of your manifestations will work properly, because you're only going to manifest more of the same three-dimensional projections and experiences, which fall in congruent alignment with exactly what their narrative is: materialism, hedonism, egoism, separatism, duality, polarization, idolatry. It goes on and on. Think about it for a minute before I end this video. How much energy do you give living vicariously through the lives of celebrities? Honestly, think about that. Now, all of that energy you're giving to somebody else's life, pretending that that is your life, you're actually robbing yourself of the energy required for you to manifest your own dreams. That's why they have you have an unbearable reality, why you have taxes, the cost of living, inflation. It's so unbearable. It's crushing, because they know exactly what's going to happen. You only have two options in that instance. You're either going to revert to the past and escapism, and that's through movies and your memories, or you're going to be addicted to the promises of the future. So either way, you're not focusing and living in the moment, and that's exactly what they want, because the only space that you can properly manifest from is the moment, the current here and now, as I've said before in a previous video. So you just have to practice not concerning yourself, and when I say this, practice not concerning yourself honestly, not lying to yourself, but genuinely not being concerned with what anybody thinks or says or feels, or that looks at you, or whatever the case may be when you go out into public. You have to practice. It takes time, because you've been conditioned and manipulated and brainwashed and programmed. Unconscious societal programming mechanisms are very detrimental, because they are the very catalyst that prevent you from receiving high vibrational experiences. The universe is always saying, listen, we want you to have better, but we can't force you to not destroy yourself, because you can't change somebody and you cannot save someone from themselves, but you can most certainly ruin your life trying. The reason why the universe, source, God, isn't going to give up on you is because God sees in you the unlimited potential that at this moment you fail to see in yourself. That's why the universe is not going to give up. And then the universe has what I call universal intervention. You got to get the baby bird out of the nest, because you've had your wings all along. And that nest, of course, is the comfort zone of the system. Because you have to be able to understand that there's reasons and purposes for you being here on this earth. You're not put here to do with what you want to do. You're put here to do what the universe needs you to do, because the universe has to work through you, not only to help you and your family, of course, but to help others. Because you have to share your energy. Failure to utilize your talents and abilities and your gifts is a tragedy. Could you imagine a world that nobody wanted to share their talents and abilities? We wouldn't have any music. There would be no art. There wouldn't be anything. Think about that for a minute. And you have to be comfortable with yourself. And in order for you to do that, you have to stop being concerned with what people think. They can't even think for themselves. They're controlled by a hive mind collective that does all their thinking for them. They tell you exactly what gender you are, what race, creed, color, class, ethnicity, heritage, what country you belong to, all of it. It's all been taken care of. That's not the plan of the divine. Your energy, equal to everything around you, expressing itself in a physical form. That's God's plan. God did not create this world to be subdivided by man, but it is. And you have flags, division, boundaries, barriers, borders, barricades, lines and sides, polarization, dichotomy. It goes on. Long protracted conflicts. Pick a side. What side of the fence you on? Theirs or ours? Red versus blue. It just never ends. You know, once you are no longer connected to the three-dimensional puppet show of the Matrix, you begin to realize, wait a minute, I've been lied to my entire life, and I'm being played like a fool. And that's when you start to reclaim your ownership that you surrendered to this external source. So you can fit in and be like everybody else and be liked by everybody else. And in doing that, you sacrifice your individuality. Everything goes right out the window. Your sense of self, your sense of identity, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-love. Remember these words. The presence of self-deprecation indicates an absence of self-love. And without self-love, you cannot manifest anything substantial in your reality. You'll just manifest more of the same quantitative experiences that possess no qualitative value. I myself would prefer to have one qualitative experience as opposed to thousands of quantitative experiences with no qualitative value. Because it's just more of the same. And then you're just drifting and existing. You're not even living. It's just something to think about. Reclaim your power. Take back what you gave to them unconsciously. And stop seeking validation from any external sources. Because they don't deserve it. You must become highly selective as to whom it is you allow in your life, let alone who you let in your heart, because your heart is your most precious asset. It belongs to heaven. And that is why not everyone deserves it. Something to think about. Have a great day.